This reflection is dedicated to my father, Roy Mackay, who passed away on the 9th of April 2020, and to Giuseppe, father of a work colleague, who passed away on the 1st of November 2020. November is a month for remembering. People are starting to wear poppies, a symbol that we remember the lives of those lost in war. But today, the 2nd of November, All Souls' Day, we remember those whom we have loved and who have died recently. It isn't easy to remember, when remembering brings back the pain of our loss. It isn't easy to remember when the relationship we shared had its difficulties, or when we feel that there were things we wanted to do or say but didn't get the chance. Sometimes remembering is the last thing that we want to do or are able to do. It takes a great deal of courage to remember and honour our loved ones in whatever way feels appropriate for us at this time. And it has been a particularly difficult year for those remembering. I know some of you are experiencing loss accentuated by not being able to visit or see someone in their illness due to the COVID restrictions. And following the Prime Minister's announcement yesterday of further lockdown restrictions, things will not become easier in that regard anytime soon. Until I experienced it myself in April, when my father died, I think I was trying to be quite logical about this whole situation, about not visiting the sick and dying, that we have to prevent this awful disease spreading to others, and that's how it's got to be. However, perhaps like you, I was unable to visit my father in hospital until it was almost too late. I had to visit him alone and in PPE. I am not even sure he understood what was happening and why Dave and I couldn't visit, as at that time he was in an isolation ward and he wasn't allowed access to a phone, and everyone was in masks. I can't begin to imagine how that must have felt for him, and I can't forget. He didn't have COVID in the end, but that didn't matter. In terms of funeral planning, hardly anyone could be there. Make no mistake, it is right to prevent this disease spreading. But there is a necessary and very hard price to pay in terms of mental and spiritual well-being. The cost to those of us not allowed to mourn or visit in the way we normally would is high. And that is why All Souls' Day for us this year is so very important. Canon Henry Scott Holland, in a sermon preached at the lying in state of Edward VII in Westminster Hall in 1910, said that we hover between two ways of regarding death. One is that death is the end. We protest against it, recoil from it, and protest at it because it is unbearable to think that we shall never see our loved one again. The other view is that death is nothing at all. Taken out of context, that can sound as if we are denying the pain we feel on the loss. However, perhaps it means we can go on thinking about those we have lost, praying about them and remembering them, and knowing we shall see them again. In the end, we have to reconcile both views of death. It is an end, but there is a continuity of growth in the love of God, which enables this end to be a new beginning. Eternal life is not only life beyond the grave, but a life we begin to live here and now. In common with what Henry Scott said, today's reading, which was from the Book of Wisdom, also emphasises that our parting from our loved ones is only temporary. It affirms for us that those who have died in the peace of Christ are safe in the hands of God, where no more suffering can touch them. And we can look forward to the day when God will finally heal and renew his creation, and when Jesus will raise his people to a glorious future. And listen to the words from John chapter 6. This is indeed the will of my Father, that all who see the Son and believe in him may have eternal life, and I will raise them upon the last day. As I said in the beginning, November is a month for remembering. It takes courage to remember. But we must take courage that absolutely nothing, not even our grief, can separate us from the love that we have shared with those we have lost. Love is stronger than death, and love is of God. C.S. Lewis writes, "On that day when creation is renewed, we will realise that all that we have experienced so far is simply the first chapter of the great story of our life, the story God is writing, the story in which every chapter is better than the one that came before it."